So we will start on the bottom of page 10 where it says grams to moles. Now, just a reminder of what we did yesterday. We started talking and reintroducing the idea of the picket fence. And we yesterday just went from moles to moles, right? And we took whatever number and unit was given, all right? And we solved for whatever unit we wanted. And there was some key, truths about the picket fence. The two main things that you absolutely can always trust in is that this unit will always move over. So yesterday we put moles that I was given right there, all right? And then another truth is that the unit at the very end of the picket fence always matches the unit at the end. So that was the moles wanted. Now we do this because if I have this unit here on top and the same unit on the bottom, they cancel out. Question, Brad? So we take advantage of the fact that something on top cancels the thing on bottom, and we would only be left with what we wanted. That's basically what we went through yesterday. Now, we threw numbers on it so it got more complicated, but today we're going to add one more step. And we're going to go from grams to moles, or we're going to go from moles to grams. Okay? And this is a way we can compare things. And so there's the old saying that says, you can't compare apples and oranges, but you can compare the mass of apples to the mass of oranges, right? If you convert them, then you can find something they have similar, which is mass. So we can do that. We could do their money, because money is universal. Like you could compare the price of apples and oranges, but first you would have to do a little bit of math. That's basically all we're doing. But in chemistry, it's moles is the thing that repeats itself. What's up? Probably not. All right. So let's review something from Part A that hopefully goes pretty quick. And you will need your periodic table for this part. So it's the one we haven't used in decades. It's the middle that has the numbers. Okay? So you have one? All right. Well, I'm going to write them all up here anyway, so it won't matter. So we're right here. I remind you that inside each chemical symbol, there are two numbers. All right? Those two numbers. The small one is the protons, or the atomic number, and the large one is the mass. That's what we care about today. You okay with that? So, when we go to find the mass of things, we'll use the periodic table. So, an example is if we want to know the mass of sodium, all right, we would find the box for Na, and it's a 23 and an 11. Now, it's not the top or the bottom, because they could be written however they want. We just need to know it's the larger value. So the mass of Na is 23. But very specifically, the mass of Na is 23 grams per 1 mole. Okay? We learned this in Chemistry A, so hopefully it feels like a review. But I'm going to make it a tiny bit even more specific. And this will be very useful in your picket fences. This is 23 grams of Na per every 1 mole of Na. And I want to stress something over and over real fast. If you look up here, grams is always per 1 mole of the same thing. Okay? Grams is always per 1 mole of the same thing. We never, in grams per mole, we never switch the chemical we're talking about. They always have to be the same. And then we also, please look right here, because this is a huge common mistake. We never put anything with grams except for a 1 mole. Now, that's tempting to screw up because eventually we're going to balance a reaction and there's going to be like a 2 in front of the Na. And so you're like, oh, hey, there's, 2 Na plus Cl2 goes to 2 NaCl. You'll want to put a 2 right here because there's a 2 right there. But you never do that. That 2 is important, but it's taken care of in a different step. So we can't take care of it twice, or then we're in a lot of trouble. You okay with that? So grams is always per 1 mole of the same substance. Okay, let's complicate it. If we have NaCl, we need to find its total mass. We find the mass of Na, that's 23 grams. And then we add the mass of Cl. We could find that on the far right side. It's 35.5 grams. You add them and you get 58.5 grams per, that's ugly but whatever, 1 mole of the same thing. Okay? Please don't be lazy today, or it's really, really easy to get lost. Okay, now, one more. If I have magnesium nitrate, that's what its formula would be. You need to be pretty good at finding these masses. So what you need to do is account for everything. You have 1 mg. You're going to add 2 N's. And you're going to add, what's this number here? 6. You're going to add 6 oxygen. You okay with that? The next thing you would do is substitute their masses in these parentheses. So you have 1, and the mass of Mg from your periodic table is 24. Plus 2, the mass of N from your periodic table is 14. And 6 times the mass of oxygen, which is 16. And you would type that all into your calculator, and you'd get 148 grams per 1 mole. And that would be of MgNO3. I don't have room, but whatever, it's scribble. Okay, we'll pretend that says MgNO3 too. Okay, so the rest of this stoichiometry, you're going to need to be able to find the mass of things just using your periodic table. Okay, so now let's just jump into the problems. So, right here at the very bottom of page number 10, it says something that I have in front of me actually. FES, so balance that out while I write it. This is not working very well. There we go. Okay, will you take a second and balance that? So if I have 2 H's and 2 Cl's, I can fix that pretty simple. I'm going to have to move closer to the computer. And put a 2 right there. And then it would be balanced. 1, 2, 1, 1. Are we okay with that? All right, good. So then I will just attack. I'm going to use the same idea of the picket fence. I'm going to start with the thing I'm given. And I'm going to find the thing I'm solving for. And then I'm going to put it all together. So please stick with me on this process. So eventually I will teach you how to know how long these are, but these picket fences have 2 vertical lines. So for now, just trust me. There's 2 lines because I told you to. All right. The next part is to put in the values that I gave you and asked you for. So what's the given? Okay, 1.8 moles, right? Of which thing? Of HCl. Thank you. All right. Now, please Stick with me here. We learned yesterday that whatever this unit here is always goes down and over here, correct? All right, so that would be moles of HCl. All right, I will fill the numbers in a minute, but that is correct. I'll just do all the numbers at the end, though. Okay, now, we have that. And when you do picket fences, you never have to guess. Like, we don't know what goes here, so we're not going to guess. And I want to actually come back here and say something that maybe I did and maybe I didn't. I don't remember. Back here, I said grams is always per 1 mole, right? But I need you to notice something. Mole is not always per gram. I know that sounds weird. Grams are always tied to moles, but moles are not always tied to grams. Okay? So don't put grams right here because they don't go there. So we're a little bit stuck. Anytime in the picket fence you don't know what to do, I want you to go to the other side and work your way backwards there. So the problem says you have 1.8 moles of HCl, and it wants to know how many grams of H2S you can make. Are we okay with that? Okay, write that down and then look up at the screen. Because this one thing right here will actually fill out the other 3 missing boxes. All right, so the unit at the end is always what? The unit at the end. They always match. Okay? Sorry, I shouldn't read my text and teach at the same time. All right, next. Here we go. There's another always right here. Grams is always tied to what thing? Okay, don't just say moles. 1 mole. Thanks, Lisi. 1 mole of the same thing, H2S. Okay, so that's the bottom because grams are always tied to that. And now we're stuck. What goes in this one? All right, we know that these two have to match, correct? So this has to be mole of H2S. And now I have the setup. Now I'll put the numbers in. You okay with that? When we have mole and mole, this is the only time that's not just ones. All right? We find the numbers. I never put the other ones. They're just ones. So it's pretty easy, and it's another stupid saying. The number in front of H2S is the number in front of H2S. The number in front of HCl is the number in front of HCl. And then the last value I need is the grams of H2S. To find the grams of H2S, I have 2 H's, and their mass is 1, plus 1 S, and its mass is 32. So that equals 34 grams. So that comes here. And now we're ready to roll. I take 1.8, multiply it by 34, and divide that by 2. All right, once we have typed this in, we end up with 30.6, as long as my lab partner was correct. Did you do it? Because I was really copying off Kyla. Okay. Good. All right, raise your hands if that made sense. Okay, that's pretty good. One of these is okay, because I think more people are that way than we think. Right here? Here? So the balancing got you? right here? Oh, here. Okay, sorry. You were pointing right there, but I didn't even notice blue. I'm blue colorblind. That's why I think I look good in it. Okay, so you're probably not the only one. We needed the mass of H2S. So how many H's are there? There's 2. And on your periodic table, if you look at the mass for H in the top left corner, periodic table, top left, it's just 1. So 2 times 1 plus, how many S's are there? It's okay. There's 1. No, you're not. There's 1 of them times 32. That's where that came from. No, don't apologize. I'm sure 5 people probably had that same question. They just didn't know how to ask it. All right. So most people just raised their hand that they understood what we were doing. Now, I need to point something out that makes these a tiny bit more difficult. They're not awful, but if I give you moles and ask for grams, it matches this exact same setup. But we need to know how to go both directions. If I give you grams and ask for moles, we have to solve it too. It's the same process, it's just backwards. You okay with that, ish? All right, so right now I really, really want to encourage you to learn how to do this and never to memorize what goes where. Because in the next problem we're going to do, so this step right here says moles and moles, and a kid might memorize that. Oh, hey, the second one is always moles per moles. But that's not true. Sometimes, depending on what this is, this will be switched completely backwards. So learn the process. Don't memorize where everything goes. We all right with that so far? Okay, so here we go. There's some space at the bottom of page 10 that's white. We're going to fill it. So I'm going to keep the same reaction. I'm just going to ask you a different question. So I'm going to delete all of this. And now I'm going to ask for a different thing. So, if you have 25 grams of FeS, you with me? That's your given, 25 grams of FeS. How many moles of HCl will you use? Do you want to do it together? Or do you? Okay, I heard yes right off the bat. So this is reversed. So let's set it up. Do not do it exactly the same as the one we just did, because it's not exactly the same as the one we just did. So I take my given and I start 25 grams of FeS. Is everyone okay with where that number came from? Silence means yes. Thumbs up, even better, from the back. All right. Are you quiet because I'm recording? We're quiet because Kirsten's not here. That's why we're quiet. She's usually like the answerer. All right. Now, grams of FeS at the start gives me more information. It also tells me the bottom of this one, right? Because this unit always goes there. Grams of FeS. Now, that's really good news because that also tells me something else. What does that tell me? Thank you, Kyla. It tells me the top as well, because grams is always tied to 1 mole of the same thing. All right? You good, Hallie? Just yawning. Okay? It happens to the best of us. All right? So, now that's nice because if I have the top, I know the bottom of the next one over because it matches. Mole of FeS. So So the last thing I need to do is just solve, right? Not solve, I'm an idiot. I need to find out what I'm solving for. What am I asking you for here? Mole of HCl. And if I know the unit at the end, then I know the unit at the end because they are always the same thing. Okay? So now I just find these here. The number in front of HCl is the number in front of HCl. Next, the number in front of FES is the number in front of FES. And then the final step then, we need to find the mass of iron 2 sulfide. This is one I don't have memorized. I think iron's 58, is that right? 56 plus 32. So we got 88 grams per 1 mole. And we don't need that because we already have that. So it is 88 grams right there. And now we're ready. We take 25 times 2 and divide it by 88. That's going to be 0.22, I think. Is it? Wow, I'm terrible. How did I do that so wrong? Let me think about my math in my head. All right, so we're on page 11 again, correct? No, 14, sorry. 14, number 40. So balance it. Hopefully you were able to balance this one pretty quick. There's 2 O's, so you need 2 O's. That makes 2 mg's, so you need 2 mg's, and there's 1 O2. Okay, I'll write this shape out. It's going to be 3, like 2 vertical lines or 3 parts. Sometimes I'll say that and it's confusing. All right, then will you take a couple minutes and try and set this up and solve it yourself? Well, 1.4 something. Who had that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, well, it was 2 people last hour, so 7's way better. I wish it was 30, but of course 10 people are absent. Whatever. Here we go. Start with the given. What did I give you? Good, thank you. 35 grams of just Mg, correct? All right, who at least started with that? Nice. All right, 35 grams of Mg. So that means this unit down here must be grams of Mg. And I'm going to go to my periodic table and I'm going to find that number eventually. I'm not going to do it yet, but I will eventually. Now, grams are always tied to what value? 1 mole of the same thing. And you're going to get sick of me saying that, but I need to, because it's one of the most common mistakes. You do not ever put the coefficients in this step, because they're coming up in the next step. All right, now if this is moles Mg, what do I need down here? Mole of Mg. Okay, then I'm stuck, so I go to the end, and I'm solving for mole of MgO, correct? And I know that unit must come here, mole MgO. And then I'm ready to find the stuff. The number in front of MgO is the number that's in front of MgO. The number in front of Mg is the number in front of Mg. So that's a 2. So mathematically, that step's pretty pointless. Chemistry-wise, it's really important. Okay, then grams of magnesium. I go to my periodic table, and it's 24. Okay, 24. So math-wise, the 2's cancel out, so it's 35 divided by 24, which is 1.46-ish. It's like 1.458, yada, 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 who cares? Okay, so most people did not have this right, but who feels like they're getting it? Okay. No, Kyla? Okay, sorry. Well, you were like picking your eyelash at the same time, so I was confused. All right. Next one. 41, maybe? Oh my, Tom. Here we go. 41. 41, you do not have to squish it in at the bottom of that page. The space to do it is on the top of the next page. I do realize that's misfortune, but I don't care. So, 41 is Li plus water produces LiOH plus hydrogen gas. Okay. Will you balance this yourself and try and plug it into the picket fence? And let's see if we can pull this off on our own. Learn and then follow the process. All right, so 2 H's. Remember that water is 1 H and 1 OH. That makes this easier to balance. So if there's 2 H's, you put a 2 in front of the H. That makes 2 hydroxides. So you got to put 2 in front of the hydroxide. That makes 2 lithiums, and then 1. 2, 2, 2, 1. Then we're ready for the picket fence. It gave me 10 grams of Li. Is that right? Personally, I like when it starts with grams because that fills in most of it for me right off the bat. So if it's grams here, it has to be grams of Li down here. And we've learned over and over today that grams is always per 1 mole of the same substance. Okay? Now, do I bring this 2 right here? No. Grams is always per 1 mole of the same substance. Then this unit must come down here, and that would be mole of Li. Then the final step is to find what I'm solving for, which is moles of what? It's H2. Hydrogen, OH is hydroxide, and so these will match. So that would be mole of H2. And now I fill the numbers in. The number in front of H2 is the number in front of H2, so that's a 1. The number in front of Li is the number in front of Li. And then I needed to find the grams of lithium, and that was a 7. So it is 10 divided by 7 times 2. Now, the way you need to do that, though, if you do it on your phone, you need to take 10 and divide it by 7 and divide it by 2. But most of you, what you should really do is, you know what 7 times 2 is, right? It's just 14. So take 10 and divide it by 14. It is very simple to screw up your calculator when you have 2 numbers in the denominator. All right? So be really careful. Make sure you parenthesize the whole denominator. Because if you do it exactly how I just said, 10 divided by 7 times 2, that's different than 10 divided by 7 times 2. In parentheses. Oh, you're all rolling your eyes at me. Even my friends just gave me a dirty look right there. Yeah. You up? Okay. Yeah. Trying to stay awake. This is fascinating material. And yeah, you're sunburned. Probably partied hard last night, right? I have to talk at church this week too. Yeah, look at us go. Not in our ward though, sorry. I don't even know who it is. 24th. All right, here we go. I will help you with the chemistry. You do the picket fence. BaCl2 plus Na2SO4 goes to BaSO4 plus NaCl. You balance it with just a 2. Kyla, did you put a 2 right here? Oh, I thought I saw you erasing something. Okay. What does that look for? You disagreed. Oh, couldn't read? What? My writing's perfectly crystal clear at all times. What could possibly go wrong with this? That right there? Was it that they got you? Picasso? Picasso 4. All right. Yeah, BASO4. I'm sorry. Okay, I will help you with one last piece here, but don't let this confuse you. It's going to ask you, and you will need to find the mass of BaCl2. I will help you. When you need that number, it's 208 grams per 1 mole. Now, don't be confused. That's not your starting number. That's just me trying to save you a little bit of time of looking it up on your periodic table. The starting number is 35. No, that's the last one. 3.5. All right. We have 7 minutes left in class. I'm going to give you 4 to do this, and then we'll talk through it at the end. I will do the same as Curtis and try to stay awake. So I had, now I put SS here because I didn't want to write that whole thing. Okay? And I do that a lot, and I would encourage you to. If it's long and a pain in the butt, just assign it a variable and put it in. My AP kids do that. They do this. They call this A, this B, this C, and this D, and it saves a lot of time. Okay, moving on. So here we go. 3.5 moles of sodium sulfate. I bring moles of sodium sulfate down. All right, and then I got stuck, so then I went to the back. I knew I was solving for grams of BaCl2, so I knew this had to be grams of BaCl2, which is why I gave you this number a little while ago. And then if this is grams, it's definitely per mole, 1 mole of it, so that's where that came up. Then these 2 ones, they're not always 1s, right? But they just came from here and here. And then I type it in, and I got 728. Allie, do you know what you did wrong now? Yeah, I noticed. Thank you for your full attention. All right, who had 728? No? Okay. No? Yeah, right. She took my answer. All right. Tomorrow, we're going to go from grams to grams. It's not even... Okay, I know what that look was for. No, you don't have to come on Saturday. Tomorrow always means the next school day. Losers. Okay, oops, that was on tape.